Man, it's your big brother K-Rino. This is a serious one I want to deal with y'all for a minute. Um, a lot of people who, when they have children, they want to make sure that they give their children all the things that they didn't have, or maybe they didn't have. And in doing so, sometimes they might go a little bit above and beyond, and not finding the balance between just spoiling and entitling a child, and um, the discipline side as well. You don't find that middle ground, then you find yourself in a problematic situation. What ends up happening a lot of times is that when you got a child who's never heard the word no, the word no is not even in the English language to them. It's not even a part of the vocabulary of a familiar vocabulary. Um, then it creates a monster within that child, and they get in the mode where they feel like anything that they ask for, anything that they want, that they're supposed to get. And if by chance you do decide to cut the water off and say, hey, well, nah, not this time, now you see a side of that child that you never thought you'd see. Now you find yourself confused and baffled as to why the child is now being disrespectful. Now the child is rebelling against you. Um, the child is showing a side of themselves that you don't understand why. It's because you lean too hard. You put too much on this side of the pleasing the child, and you mistook that for properly raising. I'm raising my child. I'm you giving a child everything that they want is not a form of raising the child. It doesn't constitute raising a child well. As a matter of fact, that's why the title of this video is what it is, because it begs the question to me, is over spoiling a child a form of abuse? Is it a form of child abuse? And I don't know if anybody's ever covered this in addressing it in that way, but to me, it's a valid question that I like somebody to help answer or try to give some different opinions on, because the reason why I ask it the way I ask it is simply because when you turn that child over to the world, or when the time comes for that child to go into the world, and they're not equipped with that kind of discipline and that kind of understanding to know that, hey man, this world don't care nothing about you. Nobody else out there is gonna cater to you. Nobody's gonna look out for you and give you everything that you want. They could care less about you. So you have to be in a mode where you know how to deal with the things that this world is gonna throw at you, and the rejections that are absolutely gonna come into play at some point in your life. So if you haven't equipped that child with that, if that balance hasn't been instilled in them, all under the umbrella of I wanted my child, I wanted my baby to have what I didn't have, and I just just give them, give them, give them, give them, give them, then have you abused that child? And I don't want y'all to take it like I'm trying to make some new form of nonsense. I'm just saying, in that vein, like, to not give and equip the child with that side of it can go bad for them down the line when they're not able to process it. When they're not able to process real world rejections, you know, and you knew all along, hey, and you know how you knew all along that it wasn't good to entitle your child and spoil that child like that. The reason why you knew all along that it wasn't good to do that is because 99 times out of 100, that's not how you was brought up. You were not brought up like that. Even if you had, even if you didn't have the most perfect upbringing, which a lot of people didn't have. You know, some people did have an abusive, really abusive upbringing. Even if you didn't have the most perfect upbringing, a lot of times um, it was based on what the parents was going through, or their situation, and they may have not knew how to handle and properly raise you, but they did the best they could, and some degree of balance was found. So you know, nah, that ain't how my mom and daddy would have did it. That ain't how my grandma would have did it. And yet you still go over and beyond, leaning too far towards the spoiling side and less on the teaching side and the discipline side and the life lesson side, the tough love side, which those sides are really the most important. So you knew that it wasn't good to do that, but you know, it's my baby. My baby ain't gonna want for nothing. Well, it's a difference between having the mindset that your baby ain't gonna want for nothing, compared to my baby ain't gonna need for nothing. It's better to have the mindset that the child, my child ain't gonna need for nothing, and then you work to make sure that they have all the things that they need, as opposed to everything that they want. Yeah, you get some things you want, of course, but not everything. You know, no child should run the household. No child should feel empowered enough or bold enough to be bucking their parents and telling their parents what they not gonna do and what they not gonna tolerate and what I ain't wearing this, I ain't eating this. You know, them little flimsy little 13-year-old telling grown people what they gonna do. So I'd love for y'all to answer that question. You know, tell me if y'all think that um, bringing a child up like that is a form of abuse, because in the long run, that what you thought was just this loving, caring treatment um, could boomerang back on them in the form of just the world slapping them into reality, and that's not something that you want for your child. So you do your work early. You do the tough stuff early, and most of the time, it makes things easier on the back end. Not all the time, because sometimes you do everything right and the child still go left. Sometimes you do everything right and the child still go left. That was a good one. But y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments, man. It's your big brother K-Rino. I'll catch y'all later on with another one. Peace and hair grease.